Hello, welcome to Inside the Birds Postgame Live, presented by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Well, the Eagles just lost their third straight game, but in actuality, they may be losing their season. This was a game the Eagles needed to have to get back on track with all the changes they made, and they are actually leading the game up 17-3 until the final 30 seconds when a touchdown from Drew Lock to Jackson Smith-Njigba puts the Seahawks up, and they win 20-17. And guys, the first thing I'm going to say is this. Before we even talk about this game, Seattle is just a house of horrors for the Philadelphia Eagles, and the whole Seahawks are a nemesis to this team. This is a long losing streak the Eagles have had, which has now reached 8 games, okay? 7 regular season games and 1 postseason game, and they have not won in Seattle since 2008. Geoff Mosher here on Inside the Birds Postgame with my co-host Adam Caplan, and joining us as always is Clay Harbor. I'm almost disheveled with the structure. Everything I wanted to talk about, it's back in reporter days, Clay. We used to, when you were playing and you guys were leading and then all of a sudden you were losing, right? Or maybe the great Miracle of Meadowlands game. That's what you call the Control-Alt-Delete game, because everything I write, you highlight it all, Control-Alt, and then you hit delete. Eagles lost this game, and I'm a little bit stunned. We have a lot to talk about, but what's your initial reaction, Clay, as the Eagles have lost third straight, and they were not good offensively and even at times defensively struggled?
Well, Jeff, this is, a loss is fine, but a loss like this when you're supposed to be a playoff team and a team that's competing for a title. I mean, to me, this just shows that the Eagles aren't a good football team right now, as Adam was saying, before we went live. And this is Drew Lock's first win since December 13th of 2020. It's been 3 years. And these are the games the Eagles have been pulling out. And all year, we've kind of ignored this because they've been pulling these games out. But there are a lot of signs that are showing that this team may not be as good as we thought they were early in the season. And right now it's coming back to bite them. You can't consistently win these last second games the way they've been winning it. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff to cover and a ton of stuff to talk through, but Seattle's always been this place. I remember playing there with Vince Young in 2012, and I dropped a ball, hit off it was cold. My hands felt like bricks. They were so hard and cold, and a ball that I should have caught. And honestly, watching the film, like, I could have scored on that play. And for some reason, Seattle is just a tough place to play, and especially for the Eagles. It just sucks to play there. The crowd is always loud. It's always raining. It's always a dreary game. The defense is always playing solid for them. So, overall, this is a really tough loss. I think it just shows the Eagles have a lot of weaknesses they got to fix.
Yeah, and Adam, I think we talked about this. Jason Avant made a really good point about just confidence, and I think that the Eagles need to get some confidence back. It's sort of an underrated factor, but like, you're facing a Seattle team. I get they're in Seattle and everything Clay said, but it's not their starting quarterback. They don't have 2 starting cornerbacks. Devin Witherspoon out, Reek Woolen pretty much leaves earlier in the game. I mean, he barely played, right? So Jamal Adams, he's not great in coverage, but he's still a starter for them. He's out of the game. I mean, this team was missing. So are the Eagles, but Seattle was undermanned too. And this is where the Eagles usually pounce and they smell blood, but it just, man, they struggle. They're going to have to bounce back from this. This one's going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle had lost 4 games in a row. Nothing was going right. They had a losing record coming into the game. And the Eagles, by the way, they didn't trail until obviously the winning score for Seattle. And they had it. It had nothing to do with them being out in Seattle. That jinx was over. I mean, the way that they played, they had the lead. They just choked. I mean, there's nothing else to say other than they choked. Now, there are obviously a lot of subplots to this game, which we'll get into as we do the show today. But this is a game this is a long flight back, and it's a game that they're going to probably not forget anytime soon. They had it. They played an inferior team, playing with Drew Lock, who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn for 3.5 quarters. He was awful, quite frankly. Yeah. I mean, I talked about this before the game. We still didn't know who was going to play until really like 5 minutes before kickoff, who was going to be the starter, because Geno Smith was active. They had 3 quarterbacks active. But Jeff, as you said, to get back to what really happened, it was all there for the Eagles. I mean, it was right there. They made a commitment to run the ball, and when you do that, sometimes, folks, you could ball control. They did, but they couldn't score. Their past game's got some real issues with concepts. There's just things that they're just not doing, that they're not in there. And I'm interested to talk to Yvonne and Cosell on our show, and then hearing Clay and Greg on their show later this week, because this is a game that is you can't, as Jeff, as you said, you can't lose to bad teams. This is just not
Right.
this is a bad one. And yeah, were they more disciplined? Yeah, but defensively, but I mean, again, Drew Lock. By the way, he had plenty of time to throw the football. That was not the issue. He was just so inaccurate, he couldn't hit anything.
Yeah, there were times where he throws a strange looking ball. I'll tell you that. But he made the throw that he needed to make when it counted. We'll talk about that play where Seattle went ahead. I think Clay makes a really good point, and it's a point that it's not that I've intentionally ignored it, Clay, because we've sort of talked about it all year. The sort of luckiness factor, or the way the ball has bounced in favor of the Eagles. Like these are the games that they're doing to other teams instead of vice versa. But you can go back throughout this schedule and look at really tight games. They beat the Vikings by 6. You know, Justin Jefferson, you remember, fumbled in the end zone of that play, and it wound up returning possession to the Eagles. You know, Miami was a great game for the Eagles, 31-17. There was a huge drop, an easiest drop touchdown by Tyreek Hill across the middle that you'll ever see. Puka Nacua dropped a touch, or was it Atwell? Somebody dropped an easy touchdown in that Los Angeles Rams game that the Eagles won. The Commanders tie the game at the end of regulation, and Ron Rivera decides not to go for 2 when everybody in the world thought they were going to win that game if they went for 2. The Eagles were skating on ice for quite a bit, and now it seems like that has come back to haunt them. So as we move into this, I'll just ask you this both really quickly here. Adam, I'll start with you. Are the Eagles a Super Bowl contending team that's in a rut, or are they more like a playoff team that just got off to a great start and had some bounces of the ball their way?
It's all about where you are now. They're a second-tier team. There's no question. They're not even close to the Super Bowl level team.
They're down 6 starters from last season, really 7 actually, if you look at Maddox, who might return soon, I count him as a starter. So it's really 5 on defense plus Maddox, the 2 on offense. So you really have 8, and it shows. They're just not a very good football team. Now they played hard. I'll give them that. It's a game they were leading the entire game until late. But to sum this up here, they're a second-tier team. That's what they are. The tier 1s are the Niners, are obvious, the Ravens, and probably the Dolphins. Well, the Eagles beat, but that was a long time ago. But after that, it's anyone's game. But the funny thing is, guys, the division, they're still tied with Dallas. Dallas has a tiebreaker, but you know what? Eagles have a better schedule, so they still have a very good chance to win the NFC East.
Yeah. Clay, what do you think? Eagles Super Bowl contender that's just in a rut, or not as good as maybe 10-3 at one point looked?
Adam hit the nail on the head. This team, this is who they are. I think this is the team, and this is who they are. You know, the ball bounced their way a few times early in the season, but this is the team. I think they're a team that once you get to the playoffs, you have a solid quarterback, you have a really good offensive line, and you have some weapons. You're not going to want to play them because they're a team that can upset you. But if somebody tells me that they think this team can compete with the 49ers beat this team last week, and it was not as close as the score indicated that game, at least. And I thought the Eagles should have won this game. I thought they were in control of the game. But again, you're playing against Drew Lock. This guy, you got to realize this. This is Drew Lock here. This isn't even your starting quarterback. Not like he's terrible, but he is not good. Okay, I think that people say, "Oh, the defense played." You're playing against Drew Lock. The defense, he's missing guys. He's late on throws early in the game. He is not looking good at all in that final drive. I mean, there were holes there. There were receivers open. There were things that were being missed all over the field. I'm seeing that on the TV broadcast saying, oh, wow, they're lucky Drew Lock is the quarterback right now. So I don't even think the defense played much better. I think they were lucky that they're playing against a substandard quarterback. This guy is not a good quarterback. So this is the team. This is who they are. Yes, I don't think the NFC has some trained killers there. I don't think they can beat the 49ers. I'd even put the Cowboys got beat up last week, but I'd even put the Cowboys ahead of them right now. And I think they can upset and be a team that can upset someone, but I think they can be beat by anybody. I'm talking about the Rams. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams could beat them.
They're vulnerable.
the Seahawks could beat them, as you just saw.
I see what you're saying.
A lot of teams that are going to be in the playoffs, even the Buccaneers. I'm not sure they're going to beat the Buccaneers. There's teams that can beat them. Last year, if they're playing the Buccaneers, if they're playing the Rams, I say no chance. This D-line, this offense is losing those games. Right now, we're seeing this team is vulnerable. They can upset some people. They can get it right. Maybe they get on the opposite side of the bracket of the 49ers to make the NFC Championship game. Anything could happen. But right now, I wouldn't put your money on it.
All right. Well, I want to get into the big play of the game, the go-ahead touchdown for Seattle. First, I want to remind everybody about our friends at HelloFresh. It's wintertime. It's like right around the corner. It's dark. Everybody's out scrambling to get their last-second holiday shopping done. There is literally nobody who's got time to make and plan a meal right now. We don't, and that's why we love HelloFresh. They deliver farm-fresh food with pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes right to our doorstep. There's no more wasting time at the grocery store because America's #1 meal kit helps make home cooking easy, efficient, and affordable. With HelloFresh, the shopping's already done. The perfect amount of ingredients arrive with step-by-step recipe cards. Plus, HelloFresh saves you time and money. It's 25% less expensive than takeout. So you get a home-cooked meal without digging deep into your wallet. And don't forget about taste and selection, meat, seafood, chicken, vegetarian meals, anything you want, they got. So go to HelloFresh.com/50Eagles and use the code 50Eagles, all one word, for 50% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/50Eagles and use the promo code 50Eagles, all one word, for 50% off plus free shipping. Act now for America's #1 meal kit.
50% off, man.
My quick math tells me that's half off, Clay. Just to let you know. Half off.
I went to state school, so
same here. All right, so I guess we really got to figure out, and we'll get to do this more, as Adam said, throughout the week when we dig into the all-22. But the go-ahead touchdown from Drew Lock to Jackson Smith-Njigba was puzzling to me right from the start, because you can see, whether you have TV copy, all-22, or just even catch a little glimpse of it, is that there's only one safety back. And he's coming from all the way on the other side. That's Reed Blankenship. And, you basically left Jackson Smith-Njigba, who is their #1 target on third down. The Eagles knew this. #1 target on third down. You left him alone with James Bradbury, which is not a great speed matchup. So, Clay, I know you've even watched it from some all-22 angles on your phone.
I'm watching it right now.
What's going on there?
So, Matt Patricia, for whatever reason, this is one-on-one drill. This is the drill from the 30-yard line. It's 3rd and 10. This is the drill you get in practice and training camp, one-on-ones. That's all it is. And he's playing 5 yards. There's no chance right here. I mean, this is just pitch and catch. He's at such a disadvantage. You're only rushing 4. If you're blitzing and you leave a guy one-on-one, I'll say that's acceptable, because you're speeding this up. You're getting players in his face, but you are rushing 4, and there's no deep safety. And the safety's coming from the other side of the field. Sidney Brown's dropping down, and you're doubling DK Metcalf with Nick Morrow, which is also concerning. I don't think that double is going to do much right there. So leaving Bradbury one-on-one, who we know is not a man-to-man cornerback. I mean, I'm already saying bring Desai back. I don't even think Desai does that. To me, that's a finable offense. You go and you fine him. You're giving them this touchdown. The one thing you can't do, 3rd and 10, just keep him out the end zone, and you're going one-on-one with James Bradbury and Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's a 4.4 guy and really quick. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how you could do it. Horrendous call, and it cost them the game and maybe a possible bye in the playoffs.
Yeah, Adam, I think what shocked me most is I can buy why they wouldn't. I preferably, in that position, I love to just send the house, because as Clay was mentioning, on 3rd and 10, you remember the Niners did this to Jalen Hurts on 4th and 8 a couple weeks ago, where they sent so many guys, he didn't have time to throw the ball. He had to throw it right over the middle, right? But the Eagles are so bad this year statistically when blitzing. I would have understood if they just play some type of 2 coverage, like 2-man, 2 deep zone, keep 2 safeties back there.
Disguise.
It's almost malpractice that they left.
He knows where he's going when he comes up to the line of scrimmage. I'm looking at it right now. Sidney Brown is down at 8 yards right now. He knows where he's going. He doesn't even have to think. Make this guy make a decision. Start off in a 2-shell, then roll to whatever you want to roll to. Make him think about it. Like, this is Drew Lock here. This isn't a guy that has many reps. He's played in 2 games this year. Hasn't won a game since 2020. At least disguise it. Make him think, okay, it's cover 2. Maybe I'm going inside. They're taking away the go route. No, you're telling him right now, Bradbury's 5 yards off. The safety's down. I'm just doing a 5-step drop, and I'm just launching at Jackson Smith and Jigba. There's no blitz. Horrible call.
So to finish the finish the defense off. So first of all, when we said that they don't blitz well, Drew Lock can't move. He literally cannot move. He's slow. He's stiff. He's a big guy and he's got a big arm, but his major accuracy issues throughout his career, and mechanics, as Clay talked about, he's not clean. That's why late, that throw that won the game for them, you want to make him rush. That's what you want to do, because Clay just talked about it. The guy hasn't played football. He played last week against the Niners, played halfway decent. But this game, he held on the ball. He had a lot of time, by the way. Their pass rush was not any better with Patricia calling the plays. But yet they couldn't get home. They just couldn't get home. He had too much time, and they didn't make him turn it over. You talk about the skies. I thought that would happen tonight. They'd force some turnovers. They didn't get that out of him. Yeah, were they decent in coverage, or was it more? We'll learn it as you guys watch the tape. But was it more that he just missed them? A couple of tactical things. Ringo started. Do you notice they pulled him and unless he got hurt, they put Ricks in to close the game? I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it was. I was trying to figure out. There was and didn't Job get in there? I remember seeing
Early.
Job.
He got a penalty.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Adam, I think that if we were expecting, I didn't know what to expect with Matt Patricia, but you kind of figured you'd see some kind of fingerprint that says that's Matt Patricia now in charge of calling the defense. And I would say I did think we saw a little bit more press coverage at times. There were other times. Sure. There were other times where there was 3rd down and 10 in the first half where I forget who caught a 12-yard. But it was a free release. It was Smith and Jigba again. He got a completely free release and he caught a 12-yard pass for first down. And I'm like, this is the same defense I've been watching for the last whatever. I mean, as far as up front, I don't know that there was anything more stunts or blitzes. To me, it looked like the same conceptual defense.
Yeah. Well, again, as we said, you can't change your scheme. It's impossible. You can't do that in season. Now, as one source told us from another team, what you can do is you can change your pressure packages a little bit. You take your menu of them. Maybe you pick some different ones. Also, one thing was really bad on defense. Their tackling was atrocious again. It was bad. It
was bad. I mean, Kenneth Walker got some nice. I mean, listen. I'll give him credit for the one where he sort of got low and squeezed out like he's in the Matrix. He's turning his body around, even though you should have made the tackle. But there were some other plays that they should have had him wrapped. Yeah.
Oh, the touchdown! It went across the field. I mean, that was bad. It's just their defense, man. Talk about a total regression. Let me ask you guys both this question. And your answer will sum up where this team is. Jeff, what is this team's identity? What do they do well right now?
Oh boy. That's a great question. What do they do well right now? They're not rushing the passer well. They're not stopping the run well. They're not moving the ball efficiently and not even running. Adam, they kick field goals, man. Jake Elliott is awesome. They kick field goal.
Hunter's good.
Well, to your point, though, good. I mean, they've scored what? They scored 13 points. They scored 1 touchdown against the Cowboys. They were punchless against the 49ers. And here against Seattle, I know Jalen Hurts was sick. I get it. So I take that into account. But if he can get out there and run for 11 yards and take on tackles, he can make a throw. They're continuing to turn the ball over. You're asking a great question, and I think my inability to come up with.
I told you. I knew you would say that.
It's telltale. Yeah.
Because I don't know. Clay, what do the Eagles do well in your
mind? I think that right now it's tough to say. Something I'm confident they'll do well with this offensive line if they're healthy is protect the passer. I think these guys can protect the passer, and there has been a little bit of pressure the last couple of weeks. But with these guys up front, with Kelsey, Lane, Mailata, I'm comfortable in saying that this team can protect Jalen Hurts. But you look at the last 3 games, Jalen Hurts has got a 71 rating. 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns, and he's just not looked like Jalen Hurts. Right now, it looks like I'm watching, I watch a lot of the Chicago Bears. Doesn't look much different than when I'm watching the Chicago Bears, just to be honest.
Yikes.
And, they're talking
Yikes.
about drafting a quarterback in the first overall pick. So I don't see a big difference like I typically do when Jalen Hurts is playing quarterback as opposed to the Chicago Bears quarterback. I'm just saying what I'm seeing right now.
You know what?
Oh.
Hurts has 1 touchdown pass in his last 3 games. It's
Yeah.
hard to believe. I know he scored on the ground, but yeah, I would say, what do they do well? Their pass protection is still pretty good. It's not where it was last season. We've talked about that all year, but it's still solid. No, they did run the ball well. They definitely ran the ball. The run the ball crowd, you should be happy.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it didn't really help them score. The fact that they ran all that tonight and only scored 17 points is hard to believe.
It really is. In fact, I mean, I know the NFL has an ebb and flow, guys, but there was a point where the Eagles had won something like 24 of 28 games going back to last year. And I remember, Adam, you and I having a discussion on the podcast talking about this seems a little bit unsustainable. Now, I didn't mean I expected them to lose like 3 straight, but again, it kind of just goes back to, when you're 24-4, I mean, that's the kind of streak that, like, you're talking about the 72 Dolphins. You're talking about the dynastic Patriots. This team did not earn, I mean, they earned the wins, but they didn't earn this reputation of being, we are invincible and unbeatable the way they were actually, ringing up the wins there. So I don't know if this is just like the way the universe kind of balances it out and the Eagles are just coming back to the pack a little bit like they should, because this year's roster is not as good, in my opinion, and we talked about that as last year's roster, right?
Yeah,
but
we said to start the season, we knew the roster wasn't even close to last year. It's just,
yeah.
And by the way, and this is when you talk to the Super Bowl hangover, teams will tell you the number 1 criteria is injury. Why teams don't get back?
Right.
It's due to injury. That's the way it is. And then number 2 is personnel changes. The Eagles have had a lot of them. And that's where they're at. Both 1 and 2 here on that list have been hit, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. All right. A couple more things want to get to. First, I want to again tell everybody about our friends at MyBookie. Let's talk about the beauty of MyBookie. It's not just about watching games, it's about turning every second into a potential win. With MyBookie, you can stream the games and live bet them and then turn any game day into a payday. Who's ready to up their game? Sign up today. Make your first deposit with promo code THEBIRDS. That's one word, THEBIRDS, for a sweet deposit bonus up to $1,000. That's promo code THEBIRDS, THEBIRDS, to claim your bonus. This isn't just a promo code. It's your secret weapon. It's your secret weapon to get the extra edge on the house. And the best part is you don't have to be a sports whiz to win at MyBookie. You can cash in on everything from politics to your favorite shows and then some. Bet anything, anytime, and anywhere, only with MyBookie. Now we want to pause real quick to hear a word from our friends at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. It's the exclusive Jersey Shore resort of Inside the Birds.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan.
All right, welcome back to Inside the Birds post-game live. Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan, and of course, former Eagles tight end Clay Harbor. Now, Clay, Jalen Hurts flew by himself because he was sick 6.5 hours, right, from Philly to Seattle to be able to play in this game. So I guess I kind of wonder. I mean, I don't think he got any better after playing a football game. Does he have to fly back after that by himself for 6.5 hours?
Well, I mean, you're not quarantining the guys in the huddle. He's in the locker room. I mean, that would be kind of pointless. I know all logic has kind of went out the window these last few years with all that stuff. But I mean, logically thinking, I would say no. He's been around these guys in the locker room, in the huddle. So my guess would say he can fly back with the team, but who knows, man? There might be some crazy rule, and he flies back on one of the Lurie's private jets.
Did you ever play? Because Jacksonville, you played for the Jaguars to Seattle, may be Miami to Seattle, I guess would be the longest flight in the NFL. But Jacksonville to Seattle is pretty far. Do you ever remember coming back from a loss there and having to sit on the plane with everybody like that?
I remember coming back from a loss in London, and you talk about a long flight, man. That's a long flight. You're out there, you're playing in London. We got our tails kicked, and the previous year before, we were able to stay over. We stayed over, we slept, and then we got up and we got in the plane. But I think I told you guys this story. There was this big brawl at a club. A lot of the guys didn't go out, but a lot of guys went out after the game. First off, it doesn't feel right to me. We got our butts kicked. I'm not going out to the club, whatever. These guys are in London, they go out. Next thing you know, a few of our players get jumped by a bunch of Brits randomly in London, right? Gus Bradley's our head coach. And Jeff, I'm telling you, Adam, these guys' faces look like Rocky Balboa after the 12th round with Apollo Creed, man. And so the next year we had to get directly from the game to the plane. You're bumped, you're bruised. We just got our tails kicked. I think we played the Cowboys and they beat us like 45 to, I was with the Jaguars then, 45-17. You get right back on the plane and you're flying all the way back and everybody's pissed off. And it's just one of those flights. But yeah, that year before, man, I'll tell you guys the full story at some point, but it was actually pretty funny. Nobody was seriously hurt. Yeah.
Oh, thankfully. Well, I guess you guys won one fight that weekend, huh?
No, I think our guys got jumped pretty bad.
Oh,
no, because there was a few of them left. There was only 3 of them left. The whole team was basically there. I was sleeping, okay, but the whole team was basically there, and everybody left. Apparently, a couple of guys had left with somebody's girlfriend, and some of these guys weren't. And the 3 guys that were left, like 20 Brits pulled up, and they jumped these guys. One of the guys was like a block away, but he saw it happening. I mean, what would you guys do in the situation? You go throw in with your 3 buddies that are getting jumped by 20 guys? We all said hats off, respect to this guy. This guy knew what was about to happen to him. He comes running down the streets. He takes out like 2 guys, 2 of these Englishmen. But by the time he gets 2 of them out, then, the rest of them overwhelm him, and he ends up getting it worse than anybody.
Wow. Man,
but respect.
You never know what you're going to learn on Inside the Birds Postgame Live, I tell you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this Eagles offense. Adam, it's funny. We spent a lot of the pregame show talking about the stagnancy of it at times the last few weeks. And I think you saw that again today. I can't remember ever seeing a game where an offense could string together 2 drives, one being a 14-play drive, the other being a 15-play drive, scoring touchdowns, and then not figuring out how to score after that. Like it's almost impossible.
Yeah, I mean, they went down, great first drive. They scored. The last time Hurts threw a touchdown pass was in garbage time against the Niners to Devontae Smith. I mean, there's just, I don't know what it is. The pass game is just not there. The concepts, and we've questioned it. I know Vaughn has. I know Greg Posell's brought up kind of what he's seen. John G. Filippo for Patreon has brought up what he's seen. The O-line, the thing is, we should mention Sua Peta started tonight, not Tyler Steen. They gave Hurts plenty of time. We've said all season Hurts is not seeing the field well. Like I can't. We don't have access to the tape right now, so we don't know if he bailed at all. But boy, it sure seemed like he got plenty of time. Lane Johnson was fine, by the way, when he turned his ankle with the friendly fire there. He bent it back. He missed one play and came back. But I guess the only positive was good. They had a lot of gaps in the run game. I mean, they had a lot of room to run, and that was good. But again, they couldn't score. They have to get Goddard the ball more. I think that's something you see it a little bit, and then he's like, he just doesn't get it enough. Lack of explosives continued for this football team. Hurts only has 143 yards in a game, which, see, this is what bothers me. They dominate time and possession, and they still can't score. This is not the recipe that they had last year. They dominate almost every game.
Right.
Again, where's the identity? I just don't know who they are offensively.
Yeah, if you would have told me, going into the game, how many players on defense in the secondary, especially, that the Seattle will be missing, and then, told me that the longest pass plays of the game were going to be 18 yards to Goddard, which was really not 18 in the air. I mean, he turned that into 18, but it was really a 15-yard catch by A.J. Brown and a 17-yard catch by Smith. After that, everything is just sort of nickel and dime down the field. Clay, this is mesmerizing. Right? Like just looking at the possession chart right now, 15 play, 75-yard drive, touchdown, then 3 and out. 16 play, 68-yard drive, field goal, 4 and out, 3 and out. 12 play, 70-yard drive, touchdown, 3 and out next possession, then 4 and out, 7. They had 3 incredible drives, and then every other drive was 3 and out or 4 and out. How does that happen? It's mind-boggling.
No, it honestly is. And after that first drive, I'm saying, okay, this is the Eagles team we thought and hoped we are going to see. Okay, beautiful. They're going to run this
100%.
one. This game isn't going to be close. I just felt the momentum. Third down looked great. I mean, this is a team that hasn't been great on third down, obviously struggling to stop third down, but even on third, I'm like, this is going well, and you got the momentum. And as a player, you can kind of feel that. So I'm wondering exactly what was happening there, because the play calls just didn't seem to match up to that first drive. I don't know. I thought they ran the ball well, and usually typically that opened up more plays down the field, but we didn't get to see a lot of that down the field throws like you guys are saying. So it's tough. It's a tough one to decipher, to have those consistent long drives and then come back with 3 and outs. I mean, it's confusing. You got to go back and watch the tape and check the all 22, but man, to me, it feels like it's just, comes down to just making the plays there and executing. And I guess, they just weren't consistent.
But it was told to me by a personnel guy whose specialty is defense, who watches Eagles tape, said to me that he feels that they did such a great job last year of switching things, introducing themselves to the NFL with a great amount of talent. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Scott. We know there's a lot of talent. And he was insinuating to me that this year, after everybody studied them, that they've still had really good games this year, 30-point games, right, where their talent is evident. But he also starting to see, he feels that because they run a lot of the same formations, your 2x2 formations, your 3x1, he feels like defenses are starting to be able to sit on some of the routes, because the Eagles don't do a whole lot. We talked about no motion. You guys talked about that. You and Greg were great about that on Inside the Tape. They don't really they're last in the league in motion. And it doesn't look like they're doing schematic things, wrinkles to free up guys. It's more so that when they do well, their guys just win. Do you see that? Can you tell that that's happening with with defenses?
With the Eagles, I feel like they didn't need to do a lot of motion in last year and a lot of trickery, because a lot of what they did was the run pass option stuff. They would have 4 on some, and you saw it a little bit tonight, but it's not working the same. I feel like defenses have they were really good on the run pass option stuff last year, and we don't realize Jalen got a lot of burn on that stuff. He throws a screen, like we saw to Goddard a couple times, it just wasn't blocked well. We see a screen to AJ. We see a run call that AJ's running a slant. This year it just doesn't seem like the run pass option's working well. And I think the defenses are catching up. Say, okay, how do we stop all these plays at once? And they're coming up with different ways to do it. You got to stop the slant. You got to stop the screen. You got to stop the run. You got to stop the option, the quarterback run. There'll be the quarterback option to give, the quarterback option to pull, or the option to throw. That's the type of stuff they do, and that's why they don't really have to focus as much on motion and trickery. A lot of teams don't run that. A lot of teams don't do those plays with those options. But this year, to me, I don't know if it's because of the change in coordinator or whatever, but you're not getting the same burn. You're not getting the same yardage. You're not getting the same consistency off of those plays. I don't know if it's the fact that you're not making the same decisions, but to me, it looks like the defense is catching on. They got a ton of burn off of that last year. This year, they're not.
Adam, I mean, there can't be, we don't watch every team, right? But I can't remember an Eagles team that was this bad at running screens before. I mean, they are an exercise of futility at this point.
They had one, and Smith got in the way. Devontae did. I've been on this all season. I can't take their screen game as a joke. And it's just they're a tough offense to watch right now. They just don't do anything really well consistently. As Clay was talking about, again, at least the run game was good, but it didn't really get them anywhere. Other than those 3 drives, it bogged down completely. It's they got a lot of work to do here. it's just I didn't think the drop off. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think the drop off would be this deep, and Clay just kind of outlined how teams have caught up to him.
Hmm.
But man, is it okay? Is it because the secondary is older, or they're slower? We've been talking about the slowness of their secondary. Is it their inability to close games now? Also, another thing, one more thing I'm going to leave you with offense. Their lack of having a back with size to salt the game away couldn't have been more evident tonight. I mean, they needed someone to sustain their offense, like Jordan Howard did during their run,
Mm-hmm.
or obviously Blunt before that. They just don't have it. That's why you want to have a lead, and you run the ball in the fourth quarter with that back who could sustain. They don't have a sustaining back. They clearly do not.
Yeah, the guy that we thought was going to have that role played in Seattle,
Yeah.
but he's been on the bench collecting cobwebs with the Eagles and Rashad Penny, and you just wonder if there's ever at any point that they have any plan to play him. We'll see going
Obviously
forward.
they don't. Obviously they don't. Because
Yeah.
every opportunity they have, we've talked about this when they've had opportunities to do it. If a guy was hurt or limited in practice or situationally, they don't. They clearly don't want to play the guy, and that's the inactive status gives you all your answers.
He can't be
100%.
happy. Why are they keeping him? Release this man. If you're not gonna play, you're not giving him a sniff. Release him. Let him go somewhere that he might have a chance to play. Like if I'm a veteran and I'm on this roster, I can't imagine that he's happy with what he's doing. Maybe he's just happy he's collecting a check. He's not getting any hits. He's going to be fresh coming into next year. Like I don't know. I mean, release him if you're not going to play him. Dress him at all. Like come on.
Free Penny, big sign. Free
man.
Penny. Clay, you mentioned something about being fresh next year. You were talking about Rashad Penny, but let me tell you guys this. Santa baby, the season for a fresh cut is finally here with the sponsors of today's show, and that's Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. They've just launched their 5th-generation lawnmower to help you avoid another silent night in the bedroom. That's right. Take care of your special snowflake and watch your South Pole shine like never before. Get the best stocking stuffer of all by going to manscaped.com and using promo code ITB20 for 20% off and free shipping. Mrs. Claus will thank you because everybody knows the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is the crown jewel of the holidays. Its skin-safe technology is a lifesaver and known for reducing nicks and cuts on the Santa sack. Don't forget the Manscaped Beard Hedger Pro Kit and the Handyman Electric Face Shaver to cover all of your facial hair needs. You can get rid of those nasty icicles from your nose and your ear with the Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and ear hair trimmer, and take care of your chestnuts with Manscaped's Boxers 2.0. Hey, there's even the Shears 3.0 nail grooming kit. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code ITB20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the promo code ITB20. Say ho, ho, ho to a well-groomed mistletoe with Manscaped. Let me tell you, fellas, there's nothing better when I'm in a house with my wife, my mother, and my 2 daughters doing a very loud Manscaped. I feel like Will Ferrell in Wedding Crowd. Get the meatloaf. I'm just shouting out obscenities, right? It's great. It's awesome. No, we love our friends at Manscaped. Good stuff there. Let me ask you this, Adam, because we've seen this before, and I want to close on this because you know you are who you're playing at the time. The Eagles, people would say, have 3 cupcakes here. They have a chance to really get right. They got to play the Giants twice with the Cardinals sandwich in between. We're talking like 2 games against Tommy Cutlets, right? If he's still even starting by the time they face him the second time.
Concussion.
And then, yeah. What, he had a concussion?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He
So maybe
came
not
back.
even Tommy.
Concussion.
Well, he actually he came back to the game, so I don't know.
No, he didn't. Really?
Yeah, well, no, what happened? He said he was pissed. He felt like he didn't have it. He came
Wow.
back, and I don't know if he finished, but yeah. So you're right. They've got them twice and Kyler Murray. Hey,
Yeah.
But
I
look,
was going to ask, don't these teams now all of a sudden, maybe you feel like the way the Eagles are going, like one of these teams might mess around and knock them off or something. I don't know.
I honestly, on that, yes, it's fair game now. The way that they're playing, the way that they're playing down in the competition, boy, did they play down in Seattle. Oh, that was the ultimate. When you do that, they should have. I was with Clay, as Clay said earlier. I thought once they got up 7-0, no, this is going to be a blowout because Drew Lock can't play. It sure looked like the case for 3 quarters. But Jeffy, as you set it up, they had 3 good drives and everything else was not good.
Yeah.
And that's troubling. And they play Monday night, late afternoon actually against the Giants this Monday, and I look forward to breaking that game down. But they cannot lose those games. The division's right there still. It's right there. They have a much better schedule than Dallas. All the negativity we spewed out tonight, which is all the truth. You put that to the side because they could beat the Giants twice and Arizona. If they do that, I'd bet the house that they're going to win this division.
Well, that's what I would ask. I agree with you, and I kind of think that's what's going to happen. But then I'm going to ask, Clay, does that sort of become the ultimate camouflage? They beat these three teams. I guess style points are actually going to matter here. If they wipe the floor with these three teams, maybe you think they're back. If they're struggling to beat these teams or just getting by, then you're going into the playoffs. Yeah, you might win the division, but I think you brought it up before. Maybe you get, your 2-7 matchup might be a little bit more dicier than you think. And there's probably not going to be a whole lot of confidence that even if you win that you can get to the top here.
Yeah, man, Tommy Cutlets was playing. He's got a couple wins under his belt. Dable's running them. I mean, Eagles don't stop running quarterbacks great. He's got a nice little game plan. And then the Cardinals played the 49ers better than the Eagles did. I will say that. I watched that game, and having Kyler Murray back, they're not as bad as they were earlier in the season. So these are teams they should win, but I will not be surprised if they go 2-1 here. And that's something, honestly, I'd probably predict it, unfortunately, that they'll have one more slip up the way they're playing today, because the Seahawks aren't good. Okay. This is the Seahawks with Drew Lock too. This isn't the Seahawks with Geno Smith, this is the Seahawks with Drew Lock. Okay. They're not good either. So I think it's on the same level what happened tonight. Unless they fix some things offensively and defensively, I don't think they're by far and away favored against anyone.
Wow. All right. We'll close it out. I mean, for the unintended consequence of this podcast is that the guy who threw a really nice game-winning touchdown against the Eagles has just been killed on this show. But it's Drew Lock. It's Drew Lock. It's Drew Lock.
I mean, and by the way, to close this, what I feel so strongly about the Eagles winning the division, Dallas plays at Miami this Sunday. Miami's got some injuries, but they just crushed the Jets. They host the Lions the following week, so you got to think they're going to lose one of them. If the Eagles take care of business, they're going to win the division. And then they're at Washington, who can't stop anyone. But you got to think that Dallas will lose one of these next two games. So Eagles just win the final three, and they'll get it.
We'll be here to cover it all. It's going to be a great week on Inside the Birds. That's going to do it for Inside the Birds post-game live. I'm Geoff Mosher for Adam Caplan and Clay Harbor. We thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.